Welcome, everybody. Thanks for stopping by. I'm so excited today because we are being joined after so long, our brother Thurston Gill. It's been a long time, and he's going to share with you today some of his story of what's been going on with him in the last, I don't know how many months it's been, but I'm really excited to have him back on here with me again. And I think you're going to find this very beneficial, whatever he is going to share with us today. But before we do all that, please like, subscribe, and share so that we can get this information out to more people. YouTube will be a little nicer to us and push us up a little bit more so that more people will be able to see these videos and discussions, and we want to really get this out to more people. So anyway, please do that now so you don't forget. I'll remind you again at the end. But anyway, Thurston, thank you. So good to see you again, brother. I am really
good to be back.
Really miss our discussions, and I know that you're going to make this really relevant to and really personal to your story, but also we can relate to it. We will be able to relate to what you're going to share with us. So why don't we start out with just fill us in. Where you been? What's going on? I know you've been going through some stuff.
Yeah, it all began.
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, yes. Actually, back in October of last year, the 23rd, I had eye surgery. The glaucoma condition I had been struggling with got to a point where medication could no longer manage it, and so was advised that I have eye surgery to replace the shunt that was already in my eye with not replace it, but add another one to reduce the fluid pressure. The surgery went well. Recovery process was going well also. But during that recovery period, I cannot stay still. So I continue to conduct my life as normal, as usual. And I decided to go on a walk with my two grandsons to Monocacy Creek. As we're walking along the creek, I apparently stepped on an area along the bank that was apparently a sinkhole.
Yikes.
And my foot went down in it and I toppled over. That was the beginning of my crisis.
Mm.
I wanted to share this because when it comes to emergency preparedness, I think that many of us have in our mindset that we're preparing for this catastrophic event that causes our life to change so dramatically that we have to go off grid or something of that magnitude. And to be honest with you, those aren't the type of crises that we deal with on a regular basis. And when it comes to emergency preparedness, those are the things that we need to be preparing for. Those are the things that should be constantly on our radar. It's not the world coming to the end so much, although the world as we know it will eventually head in that direction, of course. But it's the more common crises that we deal with: injuries, loss of employment, death in the family. Those are the things that happen every single day. So it was my turn. It was my turn. And so when I fell, let me just say this. I felt and I heard my shin bones, my tibia, break. I heard it and I felt it break. And I knew I was not getting up. And in my spirit, it was so clear to me that my life will never be the same as a result. Now, I didn't take that as
Hmm.
a negative. I
Okay.
actually, in my spirit, it resonated as a positive because there's some things I was praying about myself and about my family, and things needed to change, especially in me. I had been dealing with some issues in my heart and in my mind, changing some thinking, habits, so on and so forth. I was
Hmm.
in that place where, and I think many of us can relate, where you're kind of like stuck and you're praying to get through it.
Yeah.
It takes something in the universe to split in order for us to move forward.
Like a bone,
Yeah.
two bones.
Yes, exactly. Like a bone. So to get back to the story, I knew I was in trouble.
Mm.
I also knew I had a very short period of time to call 911, call my wife, and get things rolling before the pain
Oh.
struck. And of course, we're blessed with the initial being guarded from the initial trauma of pain with adrenaline dump. And you don't really feel anything initially. And
Mm.
it's the time that I knew my mind was already set. I knew I had to make those calls, do what I needed to do because I had no idea what level of
Hmm.
pain I have to deal with.
Mm.
So once I got that done, I had my oldest grandson go up the embankment up to the parking area into the road to where EMS and law enforcement would respond to make sure that they can find me because we were like well off the beaten path,
Oh.
not easily to find, and
Hmm.
somebody needed to be there to direct them. I had my youngest grandson focus on securing my dog who was off leash at the time and was playing in the creek to secure him so that he doesn't act crazy when EMS gets there. So to keep him under control.
Now,
So once
can I ask you, how old are your grandchildren now?
my oldest is 16
Okay.
and my youngest was 12 at the time.
Okay. Okay.
And uh, and praise God, they handled it well.
Hmm.
Although my oldest grandson, he doesn't agree. He says he's hyperventilating throughout the whole time until EMS
Oh.
got there. But
Oh.
he did what I requested of him to do, no questions asked, and made it happen.
Oh.
And my dog cooperated, even though he really doesn't usually listen to my youngest grandson, but he cooperated. According to my grandson, uh, he went into the creek
Oh, I think I lost you.
and brought it to me and set it by my head. Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
So, so once that was done, then the pain
Mm.
uh, came in like a flood, and it was interesting because uh, next to my head was a rock. First of all, I thank and praise God that my head didn't hit it when I fell,
Mm.
but it was there, and I just like, Don, I tell you, I had my arm around it. It was the very thing that I held on to the squeeze to endure the waves of pain. First of all, let me say this. I've been involved. I was a police officer for back in the 80s. I was the EMT. I also worked as a first responder, a first medical responder, and I'm also a BLS, basic life support instructor for years. And
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a compound fracture. Compound fracture is where the bone breaks, but part of the bone breaks through the skin so that the bone is actually seen through the skin. I've never seen one. I've seen broken bones. I've seen limbs
Mhm.
deformed because they're obviously broken, but I've never seen a broken bone broken through the skin. And apparently, I had my first compound fracture. And let me say this, I did not see it. I didn't want to see it.
Mm.
Be honest with you, when it comes to pain and things like that, that's enough to feel. And I'm
My
glad I
st
did see
my
it.
stomach is turning the whole time you're talking about this, so
And
my screen goes off. You'll know
and
my camera, you'll know it.
and,
Um,
and of course,
please.
I can understand it. But the the EMS response, the law enforcement response, the Bethlehem Township Fire Department, these guys were excellent.
Mm.
Although somebody bumped into my foot a couple of times, but I forgive them. They were trying to do what they had. But especially the paramedic, she was great.
Oh,
Um, the police officer that was there, he was very supportive. Grabbed my hand as they were lifting me out because where I was, it was down a 10-foot embankment,
oh,
and it was not easy to get to, and it was not easy to get up from, especially if you're the one on the gurney um, being hoisted around with a broken leg.
yeah.
So the police officer, he grabbed my hand. He said, "Squeeze my hand, squeeze my hand." He
Oh,
knew that I was in pain. I did. I just had to weather through it,
wow.
and just praising God at the same time. To give you an idea, when it comes to pain, I'm a bit weird, I guess. But I understand that there are other people that are like me. What I mean is that I have a very high sensitivity to pain, which means that what you might not feel, I feel, but at the same time, I'm blessed with a very high tolerance of pain.
Hmm.
I deal with more pain than the average person, apparently. And that's what I've been told. Long story short, when they put me in the uh, the rescue squad, the rig, I think the protocol calls for giving me a dose of, I think it's fentanyl. Um, I think it's like 100 milligrams. I think something around that nature. You get medical approval first, and the paramedic. I told her when I first got in, I said, "Okay, don't hold back on me.
Shoot me up.
Do me, do what you got to do." She laughed.
Oh,
She said, "Okay, I'm working on it." She has to get medical approval from the physician on the other side of the radio who gave approval, and she
mhm.
gave me the first dose. Well, typically speaking, if I'm not mistaken, after about a minute or two, if you don't feel a difference, they are authorized to give you another dose. Well, it was a minute or two, and I didn't feel anything. So she
Mm,
gave me another dose. Donna, after the other dose, I still didn't feel anything.
wow.
And from what I understand, I had 3 doses by the time I got to the trauma center, where
Mm,
they not only treated the injury, but also they had to set the bone. The orthopedic surgeon had to set my, not orthopedic surgeon, the orthopedic doctor had to set my bone, which was another painful experience. Had to pull it and put it in traction and what have you.
ay, ay, ay.
Yep. And they wrapped it and put it in a soft cast. Now, that doesn't end the drama. I didn't just break it. It was a fracture of of the smaller bone, and I get these bones mixed up. I have to admit, anatomy wasn't my strong point in,
The
in
tibia and the fibula.
the tibia and the fibula. The fibula is the smallest, and it just fractured. It was just a
Mm,
fracture. It was the tibia that was the one that was broken through.
yikes.
And it was not only broken through clean, it was broken, it was pieces of bone inside and so on and so forth.
Oh,
The orthopedic
pretty good.
surgeon was not on duty that day. It was a Sunday afternoon, a Sunday morning, early morning, Sunday morning, early afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to wait until the following day to actually have surgery.
Mm.
So all the orthopedic doctor was able to do was to put it in a cast and wrap it up with all the pieces in there.
Oh,
And yes, that began a night of that was equivalent to a nightmare in terms of pain.
oh boy.
I They give you a scale of pain from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, one
Mm-hmm.
being the least. And I think they should change it, to be honest with you. I think that 10 should be you passed out because of the pain. 9 should be you're delirious because of the pain. And 8 should be just before delirious. You just, but I was at, using their scale, I was at they were only able to get me to a 9. And that was with morphine and whatever else they used.
Wow.
And I know they were very limited in what they could use because I had to go to surgery the following morning.
Mm,
And if I'm not mistaken, you're limited in the type of, especially morphine, I think, when
probably,
somebody
yeah.
has surgery.
Yeah.
I'm not very schooled on that, but I do have some a very limited knowledge. So that night, it was it was quite a struggle. I remember praying, Lord, it's apparently you're not going to take this pain from
Mm-hmm.
me. And I said, that's okay, but I have to
Mm.
know that you're with
Oh, wow.
me. And he was with me.
Mm.
That from the morning, from that Sunday morning until Monday morning, when I had the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was able to really sleep at all. I think if I slept a minute or two, that was good. It was always uh, managing pain at a 9. It
Oh
wasn't
my
at a
goodness.
10. It was at I would say it was at a 9. So I was just praying in tongues and just
Mm.
and just remaining in the presence of God to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
The next morning I had the surgery and I ended up with a rod and 2 screws for all my effort. And I ended up in the hospital for 3 days. One of the days was in I spent Thanksgiving, my first Thanksgiving, away from home in a hospital.
Oh.
And yeah, and it was quite interesting.
Hmm.
So that was the crisis, and so pretty much the immediate crisis had ended, and so I was really in the recovery period from then on,
Mm-hmm.
or after the crisis. And the recovery process is getting yourself back to normal, which I'm still in the
Mm-hmm.
process of.
Yeah.
Um, and that was and is a long story.
Mm.
Now we've been talking about, and I've been in the let's say the business or the ministry of emergency preparedness for many years,
Mm-hmm.
and this this crisis enabled me to use some aspects of it that I did not or was not able to didn't have the opportunity to use before,
Mm-hmm.
and ended up going into some of my emergency supplies as well. And was probably a whole nother video, I think. I don't know. But all I can say is this is that our preparation is for incidents like these.
Mm-hmm.
As you can, well, you let me say this. During my recovery, I could not bear weight on my right leg at all.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a couple of days to even realize that my thigh, my whole leg was swollen. I'm thinking, okay, broken bone,
Mm-hmm.
in the area where the bone
Yeah.
broke. I could see that, whatever. But my entire leg, from foot to thigh, was swollen. I'm trying to say, I'm asking myself, why is my thigh hurt? Well, I found out later that in order to get the rod in my shin, the entry point was through my thigh. So he cut through my thigh to get or above
Ay,
the
ay, ay.
yes.
You know that song, the thigh bones connected to the knee bone.
Yes.
That's why. Oy.
So, yes. So this recovery thing ended up being a lot more complicated than I thought. And
Yeah.
so I couldn't put weight on my leg at all. Um, when you're told that you have a non-weight bearing limb, to be honest with you, I until it happened to me, I didn't realize how life changing
Mm.
that is,
Mm-hmm.
because you are relying on one leg as I'm keeping the other leg straight to move around, to move about. So I was bedridden for a good month.
Mm.
I
Wow.
I would get up to go to the restroom, but this is the thing, Don. The uh, occupational therapist and the physical therapist, as well as some of the nurses and technicians, they were surprised that I had the amount of upper body strength that I had in order to get up out of a chair. That
Mm-hmm.
was the first concern, that I didn't have enough strength to get out of the chair, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't be sent home. I would go to more like a skilled nursing or
You're right.
kind of rehab facility, because I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't take care of myself in that regard. But because I was able to do that, they were like surprised, and I'm wondering what they're surprised about. What's the big deal? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it is a big deal, because
Yeah.
people that can't,
Mm-hmm.
that is like their first hurdle, is being able to. And if you're older, and it's monumental. So it took some time for that to sink in with me.
Yeah.
But even though I had the upper body strength, I didn't have the stamina
Mm.
to go far.
Mm-hmm.
To go from my bed to my bathroom, I had to stage two chairs,
Mm.
because when I was in the hospital, I was asked if I can go to the restroom on my own, and I said yes, I can get up. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to the restroom, and at that time, my daughter and my wife were there, and also the technician was there to help me. I
Mm-hmm.
got to the bathroom okay, but after I finished using the toilet or urinating, I passed out,
Mm.
because I just did not have the stamina
Yeah, the strength. Yeah.
to 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 do anything else.
Well, and
And
I
all,
just want to say this too, just like for people who don't know you and are watching this, that this is Thurston's a big guy. So,
yes, like 250
he's got,
pounds.
yeah,
You're
and
rolling
tall.
around,
And that's
and
why, all those people
so
around you.
young,
Mm,
and thank God for the technician that was there, because she didn't catch me. She just caught the blow. I fell on,
mm. Yeah.
and um, it was crazy. I just wasn't used to that. So I understood, and the my therapist, physical and occupational therapist, understood. In order for me to get out of that hospital, I had to work on building up my stamina for a couple of days. And so We worked on me walking from the bed to the hallway, from the
Mm-hmm.
hallway to the door of the hallway, from the door of the hallway down the hallway until, and had to stop whenever I felt lightheaded
Right.
to get far enough where I knew I can without passing out.
Yeah.
But that was a challenge. I had to work up to that.
And there's so many different, like, as you're talking, I'm thinking about all the different, there's so many different compartments to, and things that, to, different stages of what you've gone through. And I'm thinking about, you know, it, the mindset,
Mm.
and the different mindsets that,
Yes,
and
yes,
the preparedness, the pain, the realization that, as you said in the beginning, about how your life was going to change, even though you didn't say negatively. I mean, that tells us what kind of mindset you had already before. um and so there, and going through that night before the surgery, I mean, I'm just like, I'm looking at each one of these stages and wondering, because I like to ask, like, what were you thinking? What were you going through? What were you feeling? What were your thought patterns? What were you, you know, yeah, well, like what? So there's just so many stages of what you've gone through, and now you're in a different stage now because you're in this recovery, and it's a long recovery. Um,
and there's stages in that as well. It,
Exactly, exactly. So, and I'm thinking of it from an emergency preparedness standpoint, because that's who you are. That's not who you are, but that's what you do. And also, though, from a human standpoint, as a human being, and having, these emotions and feelings, and being a man, and, just having everything in your world just kind of like, nope,
yes,
stop, cut
yes,
off,
yes,
literally.
absolutely.
And how to handle all of that. And, I'm thinking, so, so I didn't mean to cut off your story.
No, that's fine.
Um,
That's
but
fine.
kind of, yeah, I kind of want to ask you, because I don't want to get too long, because I know people's attention spans are really short these days. But um, I want to ask you, like, in each section of things that were going on with you, some questions. So first of all, when it first happened, I'm so happy that you weren't by yourself, first of all, because when you're saying that you were down this 10 feet down, and maybe, who would have found you there, or, how much longer you would have had to um, deal with that pain, and then all the anxiety of who's going to find me and all that. But so that first stage of it happening, tell us what was going. I mean, you did pretty much tell us, you held it together. You knew you only had a certain amount of time before that pain set in. So your background, your understanding of that definitely had something to do with that. So I would say that you were prepared that way, right?
Yes.
Um, and so I look at that and I say, wow, he handled that really well. Would I have been able to do that? What would I have been thinking? How would I have reacted? And when you then I look at, okay, so now the help's coming, so is the pain. How do I manage that? How much of your preparedness, whether it's mindset, physical, however you look at that, how much were you prepared to be able to handle that at that stage?
That is a very good question because uh, there were the, the main issue that I struggled with in my mindset was I knew that I'm usually the rescuer.
Mm,
Now I'm being rescued.
mm,
And I felt the that guilt
Hmm.
like I'm putting all these people at risk,
Oh.
helping me. What is because my mother-in-law had just gotten out of the hospital from surgery as well.
Mm.
My wife had recently gotten a pacemaker because of her heart condition.
Mm.
And now it's me. And it's like I'm the one that usually is the rescuer.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, I have to admit, that was the area where I had to learn to submit
Mm. Okay.
and understand that I need help.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so and for those that know what I'm talking about, people that are healthcare providers and
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement and people that are caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
we are very difficult sometimes in being a recipient of care.
Mm-hmm.
I had to mentally force myself to be taken care of. Uh, you can only imagine the amount of friction that can be caused because you're trying to
Sure.
do things on your own when somebody's there to kind of to help you. I that's a bit. It was once or twice that my wife and I had
Mm-hmm.
clashed
Yeah.
horns when I just had to say, and the Lord dealt with me
Mm-hmm.
and said, "Let her do it." But she's having this problem, and she's having a problem with her arthritis in her knees, and let her do it. And I
Yeah.
had to learn to let her do it.
Yeah. It kind of works on your pride.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
it reveals it, and and I know that that's extremely hard to do for people who have that mindset of caregiving and who really want to be helpful to others. And I'm experiencing that firsthand with my mom being a caregiver for her on her end, and the struggle of getting older and dementia and you know and but so being on the caregiver end of that is the how much help do I give? How much is too
Mhm.
much?
Yes.
Because the person who is struggling or who has the problem, the injury, whatever, is also dealing with, I can still do this. So,
Yes.
so that's where the friction comes
Yes.
in.
It does. It does.
Really hard. I
It does.
get that. I really do.
And so it took months for us to kind of develop this synergy.
Right. That's a good word.
She understands what I can do and what I can't, and
Hmm.
but it had to begin with me. I had to yield,
Yeah. So,
and it took some time.
okay, so let's go to that night that you were well, anytime. Let's just say anytime. I know that night before the surgery must have been like hell,
Yeah,
with whatever
it was a
means
horror
to
show.
anybody.
It was a horror
Um,
show.
that very, I mean, just yeah. Were there times of that you ever were like, I just can't do this. I'm giving up, or I'm not giving up, but I just can't do this. I don't, I can't handle this, or you lost hope, or do you feel like your mindset, because you have a preparedness mindset, and you have, I know, such a strong faith, that kind of took that away, or how are you feeling? Were there any times that you felt, you know, kind of hopeless? Yes.
Absolutely no.
Okay.
Because and it and I have to give the credit to the Lord because of the mindset. I understood that suffering, trouble, disaster, catastrophe, chaos, all those things we are created for.
Mm,
have been provided for.
that's good.
If we don't tap into that provision, that's on us. We can't
Wow,
blame
that's good.
God. We That's what we are created for. That's
Mm,
It's sad if we've gone through the things we've gone through throughout our lives, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we have
mm-hmm,
not taken away from that the, I don't know what we'd say, the grit, the resolve,
mm-hmm,
strength to deal with everything else that comes after that, because
mm,
I believe we're being prepared for those things. The Lord is not going to ever allow us to endure anything that we are not capable of handling without a way of escape. That's just how it is.
mm.
There's always going to be an ability to endure
It's,
it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's almost like it's another level, a new level. Um, and I even think of like in my own life, like, and, and, and I forget, this is me personally, I forget about all the stuff I've been through because sometimes when
Yes,
you are hit in the face with something totally out of the blue, so totally unexpected, of course, that's what emergencies are. And you forget about all the times that you've been through, but because this is new,
yes,
how do I handle this? Well, I'm not prepared for this, but I want to I just want to say this, everybody, that those of you who have been following us for emergency preparedness and been, watching all those videos and preparing yourself, that this is what the mindset does for you.
yes,
And um, and this is a common thread through the interviews that I do with people on the other interviews that I do with people on my other channel, and um, that mindset is so important. It's like it's a common thread:
absolutely.
mindset, faith, hope, resolve, perseverance. It's like a tapestry,
Yes,
that's all woven together to hold us together, to keep us moving forward.
yes. Moving forward, that's
Yeah.
that. I think that's an important understanding because these crises are not forever. They
Mm,
are temporary to move us forward, even if it results in some catastrophic, let's say, disability or so on and so forth. It still does not mean we don't move forward.
exactly.
We move forward despite it. And if I lose my life, I still move forward despite it. you know, it's not, I don't lose.
All
You don't
here.
lose. We're more than
And
conquerors through Christ who
yeah,
strengthens.
and here's the other thing that's coming to my mind, I'm thinking too, is our hearts. So we can, there are two ways that you, like you said, that you could have gone with this, like this whole long journey that you're going through, all the pain, all the suffering, all the guilt, all that stuff that you feel in your head could settle in your heart.
Yes.
And you can, do you ever like, "Ugh, why did I go that day?" Because we do that, why did I
Yes, we
go that
do. Yes,
day?
we do.
Why didn't I go the other way? If I hadn't done that, then this. And but the other thing is to, if we harbor those in our hearts, if we keep those in our hearts, it becomes harder and harder and harder, like a stony heart.
Yes. Yes.
And then it starts to affect
Yes.
the rest of our lives and the people around us,
Yeah. It
right?
does. It does. And that's the thing. See, we're thinking about the wrong things.
Mm,
The thought of why did I go that way? Why did I do those are thoughts that we should have discarded. We should not be even thinking. It's already happened. How do we move forward? How to be as a the writer stated anti-fragile. We have
mhm.
to learn how to use these things to become stronger, to become bigger, to become better, to move forward, not to go back and overthink. And if I go
Yes.
back, the only reason I go back is to figure out how could I have prevented this before. And one thing I did come out with as prevention is from now on, I am, no matter what, I'm going hiking or walking along any kind of trail, especially in Sinkhole, Pennsylvania, I'm going with a walking stick or a cane. So that's one thing that I learned. Okay.
Yes.
But other than
Yes.
that,
And by the way, you remember you did a whole teaching. I believe we had a workshop on it years ago on being anti-fragile or
yes.
being what was the name of it? I think I have it. Um, we should put that up sometime
Yeah.
or we talk about that. But yeah,
We can't be, and
moving forward.
and that thinking, that type of thinking is fragile thinking. It's if you're going to do an after action review, do an action review, meaning, okay, you know what, I can do this better. I can,
Mhm.
if I did it this way, yes, this wouldn't happen. This won't happen again. But also, I can show other people that they can benefit from my experience,
Always,
making it
yeah.
positive as opposed to, oh well as me,
Woe
woe
is
is me.
me. Yeah, like, yeah, that self-pity does nothing for you.
And I want to share another thing before I forget.
Mm-hmm.
In the hospital, I got a visit from one of the healthcare providers, and I forgot what her title was, and I forgot her name. But she works. I think she still volunteers at EMS, but she was specifically there to share the mental health recovery
Mm-hmm.
services, and she shared that many people think that post-traumatic stress and mental distress are only as a result of something happening catastrophic, like an airplane crash or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but many people don't realize that even just a common injury um, like yours, people end up with dealing with post-traumatic stress syndrome. And,
Mm-hmm.
make you aware of the services. And, she the light bulb went off in my head because I was getting flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
of my fall,
Mm-hmm.
falling, the snapping, the feeling of
Mm-hmm.
bone breaking.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, it wasn't tormenting me, but I still would get them. Didn't bother me much because and if I had seen it, if I looked down and seen it, I think it would have been a different story. But I guarded my eyes.
Yeah.
Didn't want to see anything. I didn't even want to see the X-rays when
Mm.
the orthopedic doctors were trying to get me this, see what was done. I said, nope, that's fine. I'm good. I think if I saw it, it would have been different.
Mm.
But yeah, I had flashbacks.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that most impacted me is I had these periods where I become emotional. I'd start um, weeping, and I just felt sad, and it
Mm-hmm.
would just come out of left field. I'd just be thinking of my family or something. I just start,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it happened for about a month or two,
Mm.
and I had to realize, she was right.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time I at least I'm mindful of the fact that yeah, I'm dealing with some of this
Mm-hmm.
PTSD.
Yeah,
And
because we're our bodies, our bodies store our trauma. It stores within our bodies. And that's actually one of the things that I'm going to be doing in the near future is and using the vehicle of dance to help heal and release the body trauma.
wow,
Um,
wow,
that people and we the emotions that we have and at least you are aware of that and you're dealing with it.
yes,
because we all have stuff that we've held inside of us since we were children,
Yes,
and even
absolutely.
generations past,
Never
that
dealt with.
until we realize that and work through it, it's going to remain there. And that's where all sicknesses come from, and disease, and because the body holds it.
Yes.
So
It
uh
manifests. It does
yes.
manifest. And
And yeah.
so, most, and especially if you're a caregiver or a rescuer, healthcare
Mhm.
provider, you don't share that stuff, and it's important to share. And every opportunity I talk about it. If nothing else, it helps me, but it also enlightens other people to understand that when you see these symptoms that occur, you become irritable, um, can't sleep, you're having these flashbacks.
Mhm.
Uh, that's what you're going through, and you need to talk about it. You need to
Right.
talk about it. You
Right.
need to pray about it
Mhm.
and get it through. And I think my situation, at least with the emotional part, is my struggle with being the rescuer, having to be rescued.
Mhm.
And
Well,
that
I see something developing for you in the future.
what's that?
As far as that group of people, we did do a
Oh,
video, and remember, we did a
yes, we
video,
did.
a
On
discussion
recovery.
on recovery,
We
and
sure did. Mental health recovery. Exactly.
yeah, so well, I want to, I think we're going to wrap it up now, but closing words, anything that you want else that you want to share? Um,
Well, again, I'm still in the recovery period. I graduated last week from a walker. I still am in a boot. I graduated
mhm.
from a walker to a cane.
Okay.
And this week, I'm learning to depend less on the cane and walking with the boot. So the recovery process continues.
Mm-hmm.
And I also learned of something very important too, because what would bother me is that I've been home for months and I'm saying, I could have written 3 books by now, and I could have done this and done that. And the Lord had to smack me upside the head again and says, this is a time for recovery.
Mm.
I did not realize, again, I've ministered to people. I have people in my family have gone through injuries like this, not understanding the 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 total dynamics that are involved in this healing recovery process. The amount
Yeah.
of energy it takes to heal. That
Mm.
was another reason why I didn't have stamina, because my body was redirecting a lot of energy just to heal.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
swelling, the reconnecting of the nerves that were cut through, and
Right.
it's like we
Yeah,
have
we have to give
our time to
ourselves,
recovery. Yes,
and
it's
just
very
we have, for those of us who, because I'm one of these that do,
Mhm.
we have to be able to come to a place where we can just sit and
Yes,
be happy. Not, I don't use happy. I hate to use the word happy. Be
content.
satisfied with where we're content with where we are, and just be, even if that's what, like, I'm going through anger right now. I'm angry right now about this or whatever. Just sit and be,
Yes,
and allow that
yes,
healing process to take place, because
absolutely.
we are people, our lives, things are going on around us, the world, things are going on around us all the time. There's all kinds of, energy fields coming at us, information, all that stuff.
That's
And
right.
we have to be intentional about sitting and allowing ourselves to heal.
Absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely
so important.
important.
So
I can't
I'm,
stress it enough.
yeah, and I just see that you've learned so much since the last time we really talked. This is the first time where you really have given me this full story, and I've been praying for you the whole time, and thoughts have been coming to my mind about you, and how you're doing and healing and all that. And wow, you've what an amazing story. And I know it's not over yet. And of course it won't be. It's like a ripple effect.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
I love my walks on the trail and down by the river. And one of my favorite things to see is when there are these circles in the river, in the little part that
Mm,
separates it from the main part of the river, almost like a creek alongside the river, is if something drops in, or if there's a bug, or there's fish underneath, the bubbles, whatever, there are absolutely perfect circles, or at least they look like they are to me. And they
yes.
ripple out, ripple out, ripple out. And then I watch another one come along and they just kind of keep rippling on and on and on. It never ends. It goes
Mm,
on for
yeah,
eternity. And I'm thinking, so this thing that you've gone through, that you're going through, it's not going to end. It's going to change form. It's going to progress in the future to something else that's going to ripple and touch other lives. And so I'm very grateful that you've shared your story, and we'll do an update as you go through your next phase, and be able to share what else you have learned,
yes.
again, in order to bring hope to other people. And just thank you for being who you are, and for persevering, and for sharing with us and teaching us not only the knowledge of the emergency prep and the medical things, the CPR, pet first, all that stuff, but for sharing with us the mindset that we need, and your own personal experiences. I really do appreciate you, brother. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, for years. And so let's keep doing what we're doing, what we're supposed to do.
Amen.
And
Amen.
yeah, and so everybody just comment below, like, subscribe, share, all that, and get this out to somebody who could really benefit from it. And check out our website. I'll put all that information below: Worldwide Academy Training Services, and also my channel, The Sound, where we're bringing stories like this: hope, inspiration, perseverance, overcomers. Thurston, you are an overcomer, not just with this area of your life, but I've known you for a long time, and you're an overcomer. And I
Thank you,
believe we are,
Jesus.
I believe we are moving into a new phase of moving past overcoming.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that sometime, but um, I'll put some links below. Everybody check out our Facebook pages and Instagram, all that fun stuff. So anyway, thanks for joining us. I really hope that you really do get something out of this, and we'll see you next time. Ciao.
Bye.